Allah in His revelation reminds us of many of His blessings He created on earth and in the heavens for us, like fresh water, sun, moon, the alteration of day and night, delicious fruits, pastures, and of course, mountains. Allah says in the Quran, "And we have placed firm mountains upon the earth so it does not sway with them, and we made the mountains as pegs." So let's understand how mountains are pegged into the land that prevents it from shaking. Earth is made up of many layers. We have inner core, outer core, lower mantle, upper mantle, also called the asthenosphere, and then on top of that we have several big and small plates that fit together like a jigsaw puzzle called the tectonic plates. These plates are topped by two types of crust, oceanic crust and the continental crust. Together they make the lithosphere. The land that we walk on and the oceans sit on top of tectonic plates. These plates float on the upper mantle due to their lower density compared to the mantle. Due to the buildup of heat and pressure inside the earth, convectional currents are formed that cause the plates to move. There are three types of plate movements. Divergent, when plates move away from each other. The molten rock from the mantle erupts along the opening, forming ridges. Transform, when two plates move sliding against each other. This gives rise to most of the earthquakes. And convergent, when two plates move towards each other. When two continental plates move towards each other, the crust crumples and thickens to create a high mountain range at the surface and a deep crustal root below. This root can be sometimes larger than the visible top part that we call mountain. This is how mountains are formed on the continents. Mountain ranges that are trapped within the continents go through many collisions over millions of years and finally attain stability by becoming a craton, which comes from a Greek word called kratos, that means strength. These cratons comprise over 60% of the continental landmass today and is the most stable part of the continental lithosphere. Due to this long-term stability and resistance to deformation, they can be over 2 billion years old and are home to giant mineral deposits and ancient Precambrian microbial fossils. One of the theories about cratons formation suggests that when a hot mantle plume rises at the surface, it creates a new lithosphere as it cools down, which further experiences horizontal shortening and crustal thickening due to the convergence, giving rise to mountains at the top and deep roots at the bottom. This makes continental crust much thicker and deeper into the upper mantle as compared to the oceanic crust. According to this paper published in 2015, oceanic plates move 2 to 3 times faster than the continental plates. The slower motion of continental plates is compatible with deep keels impinging on asthenospheric flow and increasing shear traction, thus anchoring the plate in the more viscous mantle transition zone. This suggests that the higher the continental or cratonic mass the plate has, the slower it will become due to its thick mountains and deep roots. You can imagine the thick continental crust floating on the mantle like this iceberg floating over water. Understand this further through this example. If you place an empty container over water, it will sway a lot along with the water. But if we add some weight into it, then its depth in water will increase and it will sway less with water than before. The balance of gravity and buoyant forces prevent it from sinking down and rising up. This is due to the isostatic adjustment. According to some scientists, the cratonic root in asthenosphere loses water and becomes more viscous than the surrounding mantle. This dehydration and high viscosity helps in lowering the continental drift that can happen due to mantle flow. In Quran, Allah uses two words for mountains, Jibal and Rawasiya. In this ayah, He uses the word Jibal that was used by Arabs for this visible part that we call mountain. Allah says, and He made mountains as pegs, which is something that people of ancient times didn't know, that these visible structures have deep roots inside. In this ayah, He uses the word Rawasiya that comes from Ra Sin Waw roots, that literally means to anchor. A word with similar roots is mentioned in this ayah. And Nuh said, poured in the name of Allah is its sailing and its anchorage. Indeed, my Lord is forgiving and merciful. So in this ayah, Rawasiya means the continental roots that anchors the land into the solid mantle and prevents it from drifting. So now you know how mountains and its deep roots are blessings from Allah. Now this does not mean earthquakes will not happen at all after the creation of roots. They will happen. The pressures are always building inside the earth, and they will cause the surface to sometimes vibrate. But the drifts experienced by the thick and deep continents will be less than the drifts experienced by the thin oceanic crust or the crust in the early days of Earth, when the continents were still forming. As more and more continental plates collided with each other, fixing into one another, the less drifts they began to experience, and deep continental roots formed during the collisions, anchored and further stabilized the continents. Thank you so much for watching.